May 2018 horoscopes with me, Lada from astrological.com. And as you know, the big event in May 2018 is that Uranus, the planet of big revolutionary changes, is moving into a new sign. We're going to speak about that, but mentioning Uranus, we're making a webinar with April on the 6th of May, which is 20% off if you order now, about Uranus changing signs and how it's going to affect you personally. And everyone who participates will be able to receive an email from us with a description of how Uranus will affect them personally, so they don't need to know any astrology and watch this part of the webinar that's most relevant for them. Take your seat on the webinar now when it's 20% off. And also, Levi is making a Vedic astrology foundational webinar for Western astrologers, so you'll be able to incorporate the most relevant, the most easy, but at the same time most productive Vedic astrology techniques into your Western astrology practice. It's a 4-week workshop for $160 only, starting at the beginning of May, on the 5th of May, so check out that webinar as well. And at the end of May, I'm starting my foundational course all about the 12 houses, which is 50% off if you get it now. Again, sorry, not 50%, $50 off, and it's gonna last for 6 months. Check out all those classes. Leo, May 2018. Let's see how Uranus shifting signs will affect you. Actually, Leo will be one of the signs that sees one of the biggest shifts in their social status over the next 7 years because of Uranus changing signs, because Uranus till now was in Aries. And it's kind of the changes that came to you over the last 7 years, sudden changes, revolutionary changes that Uranus brings, were more easier to integrate into life. But when it moves to your 10th house here, there will be more sudden and sometimes even unforeseen shifts that Uranus brings, because it will make a square aspect to any planets you might have in Leo, your sun, your ascendant, your moon. And a square aspect is a little bit more shocking. It's kind of out of circumstances might force us even before we're ready into certain shift. We're psychologically maybe not prepared, but karmically it's the right time. And actually Uranus making a square to your planets in Leo, guys, will be very revolutionary changes that very likely comes through your career, because Uranus is going to be in the sign of Taurus, which is your 10th house of career. Your reputation is going to dramatically shift. Some of you might suddenly change career. Some of you might, for example, you might have been a constructor and all of a sudden you decide to shift into gardening. You know, or you might have been a lawyer and you suddenly decide to go into the medical field, or something that is kind of a radical change from one field to another. It's Uranus. And some of you, especially if you're Leos that are early born Leos, basically maybe you're born on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, you know, 26th even of July, so the early born Leo. So if you have your ascendant or moon in the first 3-4 degrees, you're gonna feel this from May already. But if you're more highly sensitive Leo, more psychic Leo, you're gonna start feeling this shift when the moment Uranus changes signs. And it will continue, it will have a peak at certain period in the next 7 years, but you'll start feeling the waves of inspiration that something has to change in a big way in your social status, in your career. You'll be restructuring your career in a radical way. You might be revolutionizing your career by, say, you have a business and Uranus enters your 10th house and you're like, you can no longer have this business the way you've run it till now. You have to introduce new technology. Maybe you have to start using social media, which Uranus rules. Maybe you have to start using the new trends, because Uranus rules all new trends, new technologies, new inventions that you have to incorporate into your business in order to make it relevant for the times. But Uranus will infuse a lot of youthful and exciting energy into your career. And if you're more adventurous and if you're more willing to embrace those things that Uranus is pushing you to incorporate, like a new structure in your business, like new direction in your career if you're working for someone, or maybe sometimes Uranus can just bring a new boss that changes everything in your work environment, in your career, that is more radical, more innovative, that can, like out of circumstance pushing you towards those changes. Or some of you might, for example, Uranus is liberating, might start working for themselves rather than be employed for someone over the next 7 years. I cannot tell you when exactly. You need to show your personal horoscope, and if you take the webinar with me in April, we'll send you an email telling you when exactly those changes can happen over the next 7 years for you, and which part of the horoscope is going to be of the webinar is most relevant. But sometime in the next 7 years, even starting from May for some of you, this finding of a much more authentic career for yourself, because the 10th house is your career, the highest achievements you can have, the worldly actions and the worldly the impact you have on the world, which usually comes through our career. And Uranus is truth, the bare naked truth. So you can no longer tolerate some oppressive position. You might suddenly decide to quit a job because you hate your boss, or because you feel like this is not in line with what I'm here to do. Uranus is an awakener, so it's going to awaken you to what your purpose in life is, to what the highest achievements you can do, what your career should be. And as I said, sometimes it can do it in a cruel way, sometimes can do it in an inspirational way, depending if it's making some more easy aspects from there. No. And Uranus can liberate you, make you become a freelancer, as I said, work for yourself, be independent, but it can also create some disruptions in your career, on and off, maybe having a year that you're changing jobs until the layers are adjusted and you find the right place, experimenting with different directions in careers as well. There can be sudden separations, which is Uranus, and sudden change of your social status of some sort. Sometimes it can even involve your, not only change in your career and the direction of your career, but sudden separations with even because 10th house is often connected to marriage, because it's an establishment, the marriage. Sometimes it can release you when it's making, it's in the 10th house. It can release you from unwanted marriage, or one that is clipping your wings in some sort as well. The 10th house is institutions and authority figures. Well, you'll no longer be tolerant towards institutions and authority figures just for the sake of them. That's why you want to be liberated, to be free from them. You might have some clashes as well over the next 7 years with authority figures and father figures, and your parents. 10th house is parents, someone who has more experience to you, who tells you this is what you should do, and you're like, nope, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna follow my own instinct, which is strong Uranus, and I'm gonna do, your father might want you to go into medical field, and you're like, no, I'm gonna be a painter. This is what is true for me. So you rebel towards authority figures, and especially in regards to your social status, in regards to your career. And some of you that are in Uranus-based careers, you can have a sudden rise as well. If you incorporate especially Uranian things in your career, like new technologies, new direction to your career, if you incorporate social media, some of you might have a sudden rise in television. Uranus rules television and media. Some of you might have sudden rise in very sudden high position in your career. If you're an astrologer, if you're in the occult, if you're in any different, unusual sphere of career or independent freelancing career, you can have like a really powerful sudden rise in life, because Uranus is like a frog jump. It can give you sudden high, trampoline effect. But sometimes before it gets you there to the trampoline peak, you might have to go like through a sudden slump in regards to a career, and sudden surprise and shock and change before you reach that sudden height. But within those 7 years, you can have like a sudden dip and sudden rise. So you might just come from here and have a sudden rise if you're already in the right field, but you haven't had a breakthrough. Uranus going into a 10th house gives you this sudden breakthrough. Especially you would shift something, you'd incorporate new ideas, especially if you're also in Uranian fields, which are occult or scientific or something of higher knowledge of the mind, using a lot of technologies, you know, new trends, new ideas, fad ideas as well of any sort. Sudden rise can happen there. And in any field of career, unless if it's not the right one, if it's not a truthful one for you, then first they can be like destabilizing of your social status, so you can find the truth there. But you'll feel much more liberated and, you know, honest to the path you're walking after this transit, whatever it's happening for you. And it starts gradually from May. Okay, then specifically for May though, now you're gonna feel that you're gonna have a transit of Jupiter, a trine aspect of Jupiter in your 4th house to Neptune in your 8th house, and it's active the whole month, and that's quite a positive, very easy, gentle influence. Both planets are connected to higher intelligence, to higher divine grace. Neptune is divine love and divine, almost like undeserved, when God is being graceful towards it. What is it called? God's grace. When God gives us something, even if we haven't worked for it or we haven't deserved it, due to his grace or her grace. This is Neptune, divine love. And Jupiter is opportunities and intuition that align us to our higher path in life as well. So it's clarity. So we're having help. You're having help, Leo. So I'm also Leo moon, so that's important for me. So good things can come to us by divine grace, also by very smooth, easy alignment, by miracle somehow, in regards to your family, in regards to your home, in regards to property. Some of you might find the right property or place to belong in, or place to go home now. Your intuition can make you feel like this is the right place for me. Or some of you might be able to, you know, to intuitively know what to do in order to sell a property better. You might have to make a good gains from property, because 8th house is money that comes to you from others. 4th house is property. Well, these two houses align well. Maybe you can make more gains by selling a property now, doing something around your property as well. And also, if there was some power struggles in your home or family, or if there were some difficulties in the life of your mom or family of some sort, this can kind of be healed now because of the Neptune trine to Jupiter. Also, your family can help you with some traumatic experience. 8th house is traumatic experiences or big crises or changes that are happening in our life, big transformations. So you can receive support and help, psychological, emotional, and even financial, you know, by going through some, if you're going through some big transformations through your family, through your home in some way. It can be a good time to make transformations, 8th house, in regards to your home, in regards to your property, and to make big transformations and changes in regards to family as well. It flows well, it aligns well. They can be emotional healing of deep, emotional deep healing as well for all fire signs, because the 4th and the 8th house are connected to feelings, to emotions. 8th house is traumas that we've experienced, and crisis and pain of some sort, and 4th house is the past and family, and our feelings overall. So they're both connected to feelings. So something can bring us clarity in regards to some traumatic experience and from the past, and healing and being able to release painful feelings. Both Neptune and Jupiter are wet planets, so in the water signs as well, so they release painful feelings. They help us, any stagnating feelings, to have some mini healing of some sort in May, guys. So expect that. Or you can receive some kind of loan. 8th house is other people's resources, from banks, for example, to buy a property. That's another material manifestation. Or just heal something on the emotional level, and receive a bit more happiness, or maybe receive some support, because 8th house is support we get from others through their resources or whatever, in regards to your personal life, family life. You know, for me, it's me receiving help and support from my mom, and hopefully something to do with property. Okay, so that's one of the ways this can play out. Let's see, Mars is going retrograde in June, but in May it's going to be in its shadow period. What does it mean? Well, Mars is actually going to, let's walk you through that. This is going to be very important, guys. A lot of you as Leos are going to feel it. So Mars is still in your 6th house in May, but it's entering the degrees of the shadow. So where it's going to go And then it goes into your 7th house as well in part of May. So Mars is impacting the 6th and the 7th house, the degrees which is going to become retrograde in June, July, August. So things that come to you now in May, new beginnings of some sort, new developments in regards to your work, in regards to your work environment, in regards to your health, 6th house rules those, in regards to your daily routines, and in regards, and then it goes into your 7th house, and also new developments that come in regards to your partnerships, relationships of some sort, business or personal partnerships. When Mars goes retrograde, you'd have to revisit those, and you'd have to fix some problems there, and you'll have to dig deeper and put more efforts into solving some problems there, or into carving some new path, or into carving some new direction. So basically with your work, with your health, with some debt, 6th house rules debt as well, with relationships and partnerships, business or personal. And then from the end of August, Mars turns direct again on those degrees. So till October, you'd have the results. In September, October 2018, you'd have finished the great work of the Mars period, and you'd see the results. Maybe you would have improved your work, you would have improved, maybe you might have had to fire some employees, to make some changes there, or to make some changes in your daily routines, to put more order in your life, to make more efforts to improve your health, because some health problem might have come. And you'll be able to have much better of those things, and to be at a better place when Mars retrograde finishes, to have fixed those problems. Because Mars retrograde shows us something that is a problem that we have to work on with our willpower. And if you've had some problems in your relationships, you'll be able, especially the early born Leos, again, they're the ones that feel it, those born in July, or those born with ascendant, sun or moon in the first 10 degrees of Leo, basically. If you have those, definitely something is happening in May that is bringing some developments in your relationships, personal or business, 7th house, that you'll have to work on and improve and fix and put more efforts on over the summer when Mars is retrograde. And maybe you might have to remove certain relationships fully from your life, with business partners or personal partners, or certain aspects of those relationships. But what I'm saying now, I don't want to rush you too far ahead, but now May is the first path of Mars, the first stage of this period, which takes about 6 months from start till end. So now pay attention to those things connected to the 6th and 7th house that I mentioned, new things that are developing there. Something is brewing that you'll have to work on for quite a few months and put a lot of energy in. And by the end of the process, have transformed it, taken it to a newer vision, to a newer level, to a better, perfected state. But of course, stress is a part of it, inevitably, which you'll start feeling from June approximately. But May is more like the setting stage. So thank you so much, Leos. And yeah, check out our new classes and courses that I said that are coming in May. Foundational course with me for 6 months for only $200. You know, it's a bargain. And to see me every 2 weeks will be fun. Anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you next month.